Welcome to a platform where we debate on the top stories of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other leagues with the best in the world of sports. You'll also get interviews with many athletes and media talents at several basketball events, including the WNBA and college basketball. My name is Rafik Ulwazon, and this is Nothing But That Sports Talk. Welcome to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafik Ulwazon, and returning for the first time in literally 3 years is WFAN host Keith McPherson. Fresh off your astounding through your career as a radio host with WFAN, it feels like yesterday when you came on the show the first time, you literally had just a few hosting episodes, but now it's your full time. Like, how does that transition happen for you, and how you enjoying it?
Yo, first off, what's up, bro? It was good seeing you at Fanatics Fest. I told you at Fanatics Fest, I appreciated the first podcast we did. I thought it was like 3 years ago, but maybe it was less than that. Either way, like a lot has changed. A lot has happened. I'm blessed and highly favored to be where I am doing what I'm doing. And what I'll say is like, it's a product of the work, bro. I'm the same as I was when you reached out to me back then and asked me to be on your podcast. We found the time to link and talk sports. I'm still, doing the same stuff, just on a bigger platform. More people are aware of me. More people know who I am now. I've, gained a little bit of a following, a listenership, and, things are going my way. It's hard to crack into the radio. It's hard to get on WFAN. First off, they don't have that many brothers that have ever been on air there. They don't have that many Black voices that have ever been on air there. And now that it's been over 3 years since my audition. My audition was August 25th, 2021. It's crazy to think that from that little bit of a 3-hour show to what I've done now, when, I didn't know anything walking in there. Now I feel like I got a good grasp, good hold on what I'm doing every night. God is good. I'm blessed, and I'm glad to be putting on every night in New York City.
Exactly. And not only do you get to share your voice like on the radio, but you get to share with like people that are literally calling in to talk sports with you, including myself, who at one point called in to talk sports with you, Daniel McPherson, and a certain Fordham alum, like Emmanuel Babari. He's working there. Seeing all these people work at WFAN that you get to work with in the same office, who host this on the same radio station with the same equipment, like what went through your mind?
Oh man, it's funny you mentioned those two. Daniel McCartan I met in 2016 through Bronx Pinstripes, a Yankees blog that we had both been following and working for. So I've known Danielle for longer than I've been at the Fan, and she's been at the Fan since 2017. So when I came in 2021, late 2021, 2022, she was one of the first people I knew there. And she also represents women, and one of the only, women, and it's great for representation that she is on WFAN. Emmanuel represents the youth. Emmanuel just turned 25 and coming out of Fordham, he's been working there since he's 23. So like he's blazing a trail. He's done everything from board opping to cutting tape to hosting shows to now calling the New York Yankees games. Shout out to E-Man. That's my guy. I'm rooting for him all the way. And he's produced a couple of my shows. I've worked with him on the Yankees broadcast, Yankees post game. And those are both good, solid people, young people that have made it to WFAN and that are grinding and making a name for themselves as well.
Exactly. And I should know this as somebody that actually worked closely with Emmanuel Babari when I was a director of esports during my one and done year at Fordham University as a grad student. I got a chance to see the early beginnings of Emmanuel Babari during his college days, be able to do play-by-play. I engineered one of his episodes, whether it's Box or the real show, but whatever. But the fact of the matter is, he's seen my craft, I've seen his craft. And that's all it pretty much boils down to.
Mm-hmm. That's great, man. It's great to see other people that you've worked with do it, because it gives you the feeling that you could do it too. And that's exactly what it is. If they could do it, I could do it. If I worked with them there, maybe it's going to happen for me. It's motivation. And it's also just like a feeling of rooting for somebody. Like, man, I'm happy to say that I know that person. That person's on. I work with them.
Exactly. And you know what? This is what happens when you do a lot of podcast episodes and that one radio station calls you for an audition. You working there for 3 years now. You get the broadcast games we made with Babari, calling the New York Yankees, a team that's literally, well, they've been knocking the door for a title number 27 for years now. It's been over. It's hard to believe. It's only been 15 years since they won a championship. That's the longest they went through without a championship. But we'll get to that in a moment. But just seeing like the broadcast growth of WFAN after a certain OG left the station.
Yeah, it's evolution. Evolve or dissolve is something I say all the time. All companies and businesses have to evolve. They have to get younger. They have to get more diverse. They have to have an eye on the future. And I think WFAN has a good crop of young talent that people can see where the future is heading.
Exactly. The future is now. Now, in the first 3 years, like, what are some of your favorite special guests you've had on the show, on your WFAN radio show, the whole time you've been broadcasting it?
Oh man, I mean, players wise, I've had Nestor Cortez on, I've had Oswaldo Cabrera on, I've had Bernie Williams on, I've had Roy White on, I've had Goose Gossage on, I've had Cecil Fielder on, I've had probably some other, notable New York Yankees that I'm forgetting about, but then I've also had, people in the sports world, a bunch of different writers, reporters, journalists. In the hockey world, PK Subban joined me. I always blank on the amount of people that I've interviewed because I've interviewed probably 50 people. I actually need to put a note that I need to put together the like list of people that I've had on. Another guy that I just saw at Fanatics Fest, Kazim. I had Kazim on, and he's the man. So yeah, bro, I've been able to connect with a lot of people in New York sports, guys that played, guys that cover the sport. And WFAN has given me the platform to reach out to people to be like, yo, come on. I've got probably 50 people that I need to put in order of like, yo, these were the interviews I had on WFAN. Check them out.
Exactly. And that as you transition to Fanatics Fest, you got to host a live WFAN radio show at the Fanatics. I watch you do a live debates. I hear you talk about how you don't want to mess with the Cowboys anymore since they can't get any further than the second round. And I also heated debate with LeBron and Michael Jordan that you literally went off topic. And my advice to you, just try to stay on topic. Don't get to the debate right away. I get that Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate is when was he a topic ever since I started watching sports in the 2000s. I get it, but try staying on topic. That's something that you gotta teach yourself.
You watch ESPN, you watch Fox Sports 1. It always comes back to the Dallas Cowboys and then the Michael Jordan LeBron debate. It always comes back to that. So all roads lead back to those two main conversations that they always do on these sports talk shows. The Dallas Cowboys, LeBron, MJ. So I thought it was fun, man. The Fanatics Fest experience was awesome. I got to do live podcast with Andrew Perloff on Saturday, and then I got to host my WFAN show live there on Sunday. Gary V joined me. That was the highlight of the show. My boy Joe's McFly stepped in for a little bit. I got to interact with fans, throw the football with the fans, take questions from the fans. I signed every autograph I could sign. I took every selfie I could take, man. It was a blessing and a huge opportunity. I had no idea what Fanatics Fest was going to look like, be like, and it was way beyond my expectations.
Exactly. This is how it is. I mean, when you have like a WFAN station Fanatics, you get to host a show there. Fans like, we're gonna come up to see you, and you was like, and you remember me from when you came on my show the first time. That meant
of course.
You know how beautiful it is for somebody that went from interviewing you to actually take a picture to as a fan to bring you back on the show right now with the way sports is evolving. Why not? Why not Fanatics? Why not have a festival and invite Keith McPherson to host a show there? And I also saw ESPN first thing. I also saw the Bullet podcast live. I also got to see some WWE live recordings. Like seriously,
yeah.
What's this literally with the Fanatic Fest?
I mean, everybody in sports was in there. I was so honored just to see Keith McPherson Sunday 12 to 3 on the marquee. And when you walk in there, people can hear your voice. Like, I had this girl from my high school pull up. She said she had no idea that I was hosting, but she heard the voice. She's like, that's Keith McPherson's voice. Where's that coming from? She said she walked around the UFC thing and saw me. She was like, okay, I'm staying right here. And we met on a call like this, on a podcast like this. We never met in real life. So when I saw you in real life, I was like, yo, good to meet you, good to dap you up, good to see you in real life. And that's when you were like, yo, let's do another podcast. And I'm like, hell yeah, bring me back on, of course. And here we are.
It's only right, man. It's only right. You can that's the whole purpose. I mean, you don't just go there for the activations, considering there's certain people that I've hung out with weren't really go there for the activations anyway. We come to see we as grown folks in media professionals, we come to see the celebrities walk through the 40/40 carpet or host live radio shows, meet and greet with celebrities and influencers that we met before in the past. Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's going to be every summer, every August. I think it's going to be an annual event. I think it's going to be something that New York sports fans look forward to. I thought it was great, and it can only get better in the next years to come.
Yeah, and you got to hold on to the WFAN experience because you never know what's going to lead to. I mean, oh yeah, getting back to the WFAN conversation, you also had to see with the franchise from Knicks TV host radio
Of
show.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to CP. I've had him on with me. I need to get him back on when the Knicks come back.
You and Keith McPherson went back and forth talking about the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. And I remember the last time we came on the show, Brooklyn was a relevant team, and the Knicks came back to be the playoff team. Then they missed it in 2022. And you were busting the Knicks chops when they blew it. When you and Brooklyn Nets came back to defeat the New York Knicks without Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons. Well, actually, when you had them on the roster,
Cam Thomas. We had Cam Thomas getting buckets.
And one of my favorite shows I listened to was when you was talking I'm not going to curse, but you was talking a lot of nonsense about the New York Knicks when they blew that game. Like being comedy with it. Like, what was that moment felt like for you, being able to roast the Knicks for blowing a 28-point lead to the Brooklyn Nets in a regular season game in 2022?
So I was watching that game in the studio, and a lot of the Brooklyn Nets fans that I used to watch the games with at Barclays were there, the Brooklyn Brigade, right? The block. That's what they call the block, the Brooklyn Brigade. The fans that are chanting defense, let's go Nets. So they went to Madison Square Garden that night, and they took over. By the end of that game, you heard Brooklyn. So I'm sitting there in the radio station. I'm hyped. I can't believe they lost that game. The Knicks lost that game, and I got on air and I just started clowning them, man. I just knew it was an opportunity to really lean into the I got them. Like, the Nets fans are always little brother. The Nets fans are always punching up. The Nets fans, like, we didn't have too many opportunities like that. And, like, Katie and Kyrie never lost to the Knicks. So the Knicks fans, what I'll say about them is they always were super confident, always feeling themselves. That was a terrible classic Knicks loss. And for me to get on the radio, I don't think there's anybody else that could have played it like I played it. Them Knicks fans were mad that night. And the few Nets fans, right, they always like to say there's only 10 Nets fans. Nets fans was standing up. Nets fans was feeling it. That was a classic night on the radio for me.
Yeah, I know that had to be a lot for you. And I got a chance to listen to that. I was like, oh, God. The roast begins. But then again, at least it was to as a guy that root for both New York teams, at least it was to the Brooklyn Nets, not anybody else, because that was one of the top. That was actually one of your favorite games from that season, and obviously, of course, ever since then, the Nets traded away KD and Kyrie, and now they continue to be a little brother. But don't worry, if you take the right way and win the lottery, you can get Cooper back to the Brooklyn Nets. You never know. You can get Cooper Flag, get Ian Jackson. You can get this kid Ace Bailey for Rutgers. You can get those. Brooklyn will be back before you know it. And I'm just hearing that Jimmy Butler wants to come to Brooklyn. The same Jimmy Butler who carried Miami Heat to 2 finals in the last 4 years, but nobody expected that to happen. So yeah. With that, I gotta ask you, like, if Jimmy Butler does come to the Brooklyn Nets, what do you think that will do for the franchise?
Man, I don't want him. I'm good on him. He's always hurt.
God.
He's old. He's got an attitude. He should stay there in Miami. It's over for Jimmy. I want to get younger. I want to get healthier. I want young, healthy, hungry players. Now, when you're talking about the draft, cool, right? The Knicks traded Mikal Bridges for 6 picks. Like, the Nets have picks. The Nets have a future. Like, just last year, 2 years ago, we're like, damn, well, we don't have our own picks. Like, what are we going to do in the future? We're cooked. Like, we didn't have a pick in this last draft. Well, it's on now. It's on now. The future is looking bright in Brooklyn. There's no way they can mess this up, right? So a lot of fans are talking about, are they going to tank for Cooper Flag or Bailey or any of these guys you're talking about coming up? There is so much talent coming up. You don't have to tank. like, we don't expect the Nets to be a top 10 team in the East. Let's see what happens. They're going to try and compete, right? They have young, talented players that are going to try and go out there and play and win. I'm not saying that like they're going to win a bunch of games, but I'm saying they're going to be in the middle of the pack. And what I'm saying is, don't worry about losing games tanking for Cooper Flag or the number one pick. Nobody knows the way the lottery ball is going to bounce, but the Nets have picks now. They have the Knicks picks now. They made the move with the Trailblazers in the offseason. Like, they have flexibility, opportunities coming up in the future, and I'm gonna be right back on Talking Nets. We're gonna fire Talking Nets back up, because whatever happens this year happens. We get through this year, the Knicks, the Nets, like the history, or the future. Forget the history. The future is now. The Knicks have to win right now. The Knicks have to win in the next 2-3 years, and if they don't, is gonna swing back in favor of Brooklyn. Brooklyn's gonna have the young team and the talent and the draft capital and all that. So I'm looking forward to this rest of 2020s, 25 to 2030, with the dynamic of the rivalry in New York basketball between the Knicks and the Nets.
Yeah, so pretty much to sum up everything you just said, you didn't have a problem with the Nets sending Mikal Bridges to Manhattan, getting a lot of draft picks in return. Like,
I loved it.
I mean,
I loved it. I didn't think they were going to get that much for him.
I mean, Mikal Bridges was a top piece after Kevin Durant got traded. But on the flip side, the Villanova boys are back together in New York. I mean, you being a Brooklyn Nets fan, I mean, obviously, we think that Mikal Bridges is going to do for the New York Knicks.
Oh, they needed him last year. Like, they could have used him last year. I think Mikal Bridges is an Iron Man. When I talk about having healthy players, he's going to stay healthy. He's going to be ready to go. And when they're doubling Brunson, or when Randall has an off night, right, he's going to be a starter that can go out and get you 25 points. And now you can rest guys like Josh Hart. Josh Hart can come off the bench. Josh Hart don't have to play the whole damn game. I think he's going to play defense. I think he's going to get buckets. I think he's where he wanted to be. He didn't want to be in Brooklyn. He did not want to be with the Brooklyn Nets. Not while his homies is over there, Kings in New York, playing in the Garden. Josh Hart trolling him on Instagram. Jalen Brunson getting an MVP chance. He's with his boys, DiVincenzo, Hart, Brunson. Good for them. Do I think that they're going to win it all? Hell nah. Do I think that this is March Madness NCAA tournament? Hell nah. But I think it's a good story, and I think that he is the last of the 7 Dragon Balls. He's the last Infinity Stone, right? That's what they wanted to get. They got it done. Good luck to them, but I'm not wishing them too much luck. And I'm not on the hype train saying they're going to the finals either. I don't know if they even get to the Eastern Conference Finals for real.
The New York Knicks have not got to the conference finals ever since 2000, when they lost to the Indiana Pacers. Ever since then, they only have like literally less than a handful of semifinals appearances, and everything else is either they don't make the playoffs or they lose in the first round. The last 2 years, but up until Jalen Brunson came in, well, Jalen Brunson carried the Knicks to 2 straight semifinals appearances where they lost. Well, first they lost to a Miami Heat team. They went to the finals. They lost to Indiana, but they were banged up with injuries. So
that's part of it too, though, right? Like, they make that excuse about injuries. Man, the Pacers were hurt. Pacers in 7. The Heat won the year before. Heat in 6. It's part of it. Where was Giannis this year? Giannis was hurt. They beat the Sixers. Joel Embiid was hurt the whole series. So
but Joel Embiid dropped 50 on the New York Knicks one time, and
he was hurt. So now if Embiid is healthy and they got Paul George, like, the Knicks fans got to chill. I don't think they're getting another number 2 seed ever again. The Celtics coming back for a repeat. Like, the Bucks coming back. The Pacers is back. The Sixers going to be back and better. They got to worry about Orlando. They got to worry about Miami. Like, the Knicks fans think because they got Mikal Bridges, they're just a shoo-in to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not that simple.
Yeah, you're right. It's not that simple, especially when you have to deal with the Boston Celtics, who are defending champions, and the 76ers, they picked up Paul George. They're not going to be. They're going to be a tough out. They proved to be a tough out. Look at the game 2 sequence last year when you had to make 2 3-pointers just to get a 1-point lead.
That was a miracle.
That was crazy. The Garden was rocking that night. You thought they were fine, but Tyrese Maxey says, "No, we go into game 6." Josh Hart ended in 6. Then you lose to the Indiana Pacers again. But that's how it is with the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks, you got to give credit where credit is due. I know it hurts as a Nets fan. The Knicks have grown up a lot. The fan base is ridiculous. They're celebrating every playoff win like they won the NBA championship. Don't you wish that for the Brooklyn Nets every time they won a playoff game?
Nah, because I've been in Brooklyn. I was there in 2013. I was there in 15. I was there in 18. I was there in 21. Like, I've been there for playoff wins. We don't run outside the building jumping and screaming and hollering and chanting and having a mosh pit because we know it's a lot further to go. Like, that's not the way you do it. They're celebrating every playoff win and then they're chanting, "We want Boston." No, you don't. No, you don't. They got to chill. They got to relax. Act like you've been there. Oh, wait, they never been there, so they don't know. And it's a lot of these kids. They never seen anything. The greatest Nick they've ever seen is Carmelo Anthony.
Exactly. The greatest Nick I've ever seen is Carmelo Anthony and Patrick Ewing.
I was about to say, give Patrick Ewing his flowers, man.
But that's beside the greatest Nick you've ever seen coming into this world was Patrick Ewing.
J.R. Smith. The best Nick I ever saw was J.R. Smith.
Oh man, I know you were on the Knicks' hard body when they got taken out the way they did against Indiana, but it's to be expected. They've had injuries.
Yo, Brunson, broke his hand. Josh Hart had the ab injury. OG Anunoby had the hamstring. I mean, they were completely banged up. Now, Randall wasn't there either. Let's see what they look like this year with everybody healthy. And you know what they're going to talk about, right? Tom Thibodeau running guys into the ground. Let's see if he has a deeper team and he learns to get guys off the court, off the floor, off their feet, and rest them when the game is over. Let's see. Let's see if he learned.
Yeah, let's see if they learn. And on to another team that I've seen you had a lot of smoke to bring out, and that's the New York Yankees. And yeah, they blew that game the other night against the Texas Rangers. But they wanted to talk to you in the AL East, really going back and forth with the Baltimore Orioles. So what are your overall thoughts of the New York Yankees this season?
Man, the Yankees have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto and Garrett Cole, who have been phenomenal at times. They're three of the best players in the sport. But what pisses you off about the Yankees is they do some of the same stupid things over and over again, like last night. Their closer has 11 blown saves to lead the league, and they keep going to him.
That's thinking the third most saves in Yankees history.
They keep thinking that he's going to be good all of a sudden. He's broken. You need somebody else. The Yankees keep rolling DJ LeMahieu out there. He's not good anymore, right? They never moved on from Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres has played better, but he's still going to do something to cost you like he did last night. So all in all, and then like Trevino, they keep putting Wells on the bench. Granted, Wells was sore. He was hurt from 2 nights before. They just keep doing things that the fans don't want him to do. Play Trevino or play Wells. You don't have to keep playing Trevino. Find a different closer. The trade deadline passed, you didn't get a closer, right? Like DJ LeMahieu was washed. He's cooked. Play Rizzo. Play anybody else at the position. And ultimately here, we have a month less until October, until it really counts. And they've got to tighten up the screws or this thing's going to fall apart. They're 80-59. They're a half game out of first place. They should have already had 90 wins by now. They've been a 500 team for the last couple months. They are as average as it gets. They're one of the most average teams in baseball, but they're the New York Yankees, and they have Judge and Soto, so we build them up like they're better than everybody else, and they're really not. They lost the series to the Cardinals. They lost the series to the Nationals. They lost the series to the Tigers when this should have been an opportunity for them to win games and get fat on these weaker teams. Now here they are in their 10th rubber match in a row, facing off against the Rangers today. It's a must-win game again. And Nate Eovaldi's on the mound, who has owned the Yankees. I don't know how to feel. They might lose this one too.
Yeah, and never forget the Rangers are defending World Series champions. Never forget that.
Yes, they have championship DNA and pedigree, and that's what they showed you last night in the 8th inning and the 9th inning, coming back to win that game 7-4 when they were down 4-1.
Yeah, when I saw the score, I was like, Yankees blew another one. But the expectations of the Leafs making it to the ALCS is very high. But of course, even with all the success during the regular season, can they add on to in the postseason, especially when you run into the Houston Astros, which is literally the kryptonite to the York Yankees in recent postseason appearances.
We don't want to smoke with them. We don't want to see the Houston Astros. There's only one result when you play the Houston Astros. You lose, they win. Your season's over, they advance. We don't want to see the Houston Astros. I don't think we really want to see anybody outside of the AL Central. And if you're looking at the postseason right now, it's looking like it's going to be 3 teams from the AL Central, and just somehow it's going to end up being Yankees versus Astros at some point. It's inevitable. I'm not looking forward to it.
You're not, man. So pretty much to sum up what you're saying is you're not confident in Yankees' chances of at least reaching the World Series.
Nah, they might not. I mean, if they play this game the wrong way, check me out, bro. If they don't win the AL East, if they don't get the number 1 seed and they end up being the first wild card, I don't trust this team to get out of the wild card round. They could easily lose in the wild card round because the wild card round is now a 3-game set. They can't win back-to-back games. Their last 5 series, they have lost the second game and had to play a rubber match. I just said this is 10 rubber matches in a row. So if they get into a 3-game wild card set against, let's say, the Minnesota Twins, in theory, they've owned the Twins. But baseball is crazy, and this team is crazy, man. You never know. They could get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, that's the risky part. I mean, I remember a few years ago, last time they were in the postseason, they were down 2-1 to the Cleveland Indians before they came back and won that series, and then they got swept by the Astros. Ouch.
Yep, and rain played a factor in that, where they had to go from winning the last game, Game 5 against the Guardians, right to Houston and play the next day against the Astros, and it didn't go well for them. They got swept. So we'll see where the chips fall this year. I think they need to get that number 1 seed. I think they need to win the East. I think they need that first round bye and have less games to get to the World Series.
That's a very interesting point. The number 1 seed is important. I was just having a conversation with one of my friends earlier this month, and I asked him, like, is it important for the Yankees to get the number 1 seed and win the division? And all he can say is, no, it's not. And all I can do is just sit there and listen to his opinion, because it's like you see teams come out of the wild card and make it to the World Series in recent years. The Philadelphia Phillies were a wild card team. They made it to the World Series. Nobody had them getting there. The Diamondbacks were a wild card team. They made it to the World Series. Nobody had them getting that far. And it's just how it goes sometimes.
Here's the thing about the Yankees, though. That doesn't happen to them. They don't make it as a wild card team. They don't get lucky. They're on the bad side of the luck. They have the bad luck. Like, they're not the team that gets hot as a wild card team and makes it there. You know what I'm saying? They're not like that. They need to be the number 1 seed. They need the bye. I don't trust them to win as many games as it'll take in a wild card round, in an ALDS, an ALCS, and a World Series. I just don't see them getting there with that many games to play. They don't have the pitching. And then the hitting, if it's not Judge and Soto going off, like, it's too unpredictable. I think they need the shortest route. I think they need to skip the wild card round, play whoever comes out of that in the ALDS, have home field advantage, win the DS, go on to the CS, and if it's not the Astros, they might have a chance. If it's the Astros, they don't stand a chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, they have a better record than the Astros, but how many sports leagues have we seen where we realize that records don't mean nothing when you're the better team in the end?
Yeah, they're not the better team. I would take the Guardians. I would take the Astros. I would even take the Kansas City Royals, who have Bobby Witt Jr. and just added Robbie Grossman and Yuri Gurriel and Tommy Pham. Seth Lugo has pitched well for them. Cole Reagans has pitched well for them. I would take the Royals in October. They would just be playing free with nothing to lose. The Yankees are going to have a ton of pressure. They're going to play tight, and that doesn't always bode well for them. It usually doesn't. It's been 15 years.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Kansas City Royals. The last time the Royals made it to the playoffs, they won the World Series as a division winner, and yeah, they defeated the New York Mets in 5 games. And the year before that, they almost defeated the San Francisco Giants when nobody really had the Kansas City Royals make it to the playoffs that year. Heck, nobody had the Kansas City Royals make it this year as well.
Hey, that's how they do it. They come out of nowhere. They lost 106 games last year. They tied their worst record ever. And now they're jockeying for position in the wild card. And they, for a game, had first place last week, but they just lost 7 games in a row.
Yeah, they're on a 7-game losing streak, but at least it's not as bad as the Chicago White Sox. We're gonna make it as brief as possible. The White Sox are 31 and 108. How? Oh man, that's just
They're 109 now because they lost last night to the Orioles. They just lost 12 in a row. They're terrible. They're gonna break the record. The 1962 New York Mets hold the record for most losses. They're gonna go get that record. It's gonna happen this month.
Honestly, as a New York Mets fans are gonna be happy that they're not the worst. That their record is not the worst at all.
Yeah,
really not.
Yeah, here come the White Sox. They're terrible. They just can't get out of their own way. They're not good.
Now let's just talk about some New York Mets baseball while we're at it. And the Mets at one point they were 11 games below 500, 22 and 33. But after the mascot made the first pitch, they started surging. They took a little bit, but they surge again. They're 11 games above 500, only a half game behind the Braves for the wild card. Do you think the New York Mets can at least get the last spot in the wild card in the National League?
Hell yeah, they better. They have no choice now. They're a half game out. They will play against the Braves later this season. They're on a 6-game win streak. That's their longest win streak of the year. Yeah, hell yeah. They got to keep it going, man. You don't get this far now and get a participation trophy. You don't make it this far to be 11 games over 500 and say, good job, guys. Grimace was cool. No, you got to make the postseason now. You got to see it through. Francisco Lindor has been an MVP, a legit MVP candidate. You're getting career years out of guys like Jose Iglesias, even the guy like Luis Torrens. Mark Vientos has made a name for himself. He'd be a 30 home run guy if he started from opening day on. Pete Alonso was the face of the franchise. He does it here and there, but they don't even have to rely on him. Jeff McNeil had a down start to the year, but he found it. You're relying on guys that come through like Jesse Winker, Harrison Bader. Brandon Nimmo was an all-star in the beginning of the year. He slumped. Now he's finding it, man. Francisco Alvarez, he hasn't had a great year, but as a team, they do it, and I can't leave out the pitching. Sean Manaea has pitched like an ace for them. Them signing him to a 2-year deal in the offseason was probably the best move they made. Next to JD Martinez, who's here and there, but he's been a solid DH. They finally have a good DH. I mean, Luis Severino has been a gem as well, 1-year deal for $13 million. And David Peterson has been the unsung hero all season. He's been fantastic. They have the pitching. The bullpen is rounded into shape. Carlos Mendoza might be manager of the year. The Mets have to make the postseason.
Yes, they do. I mean, come on now. It's going to be a tough task because, well, with their upcoming schedule, I mean, even they have, of course, they have the game against the Red Sox, but then they have to face it. But then they have the Cincinnati Reds. Then they have to face the Washington Nationals. They have to face they have 3 different series against the Philadelphia Phillies, who are leading the division by 7.5 games. And don't worry, I'm not going to get caught up in the hype and say they're going to win the division because clearly the Phillies are way too ahead of the Mets for that one. But they have a chance. If they can stay within this close by the time they face the Atlanta Braves, we're gonna get a better idea of whether or not the Mets are a postseason team because facing Atlanta Braves is very important. They have to win that series against the Braves later this month. They have to.
Yeah, everything's on the table. The division seems far-fetched, but it's still on the table. The Phillies struggled. They're starting to find it again now. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but they struggled for so long. I mean, the Yankees swept them. For the Mets, just control what you can control. You can't control how other teams play, but I think it was very encouraging that they should have taken 3 out of 4 from the Padres, blew a game. They should have swept the Diamondbacks, blew a game. They did sweep the White Sox, and now tonight they're looking to sweep the Red Sox. If they're able to do that, that's 7 wins in a row. That puts them 12 games over 500, and I think they're in the driver's seat the rest of the way. I think if they win more than they lose the rest of the way, they'll find themselves in October.
Yes, they will. But now we transition a little bit. I mean, and based on everything, we just talk about what we see for New York sports right now. Like, which New York sports team will be the next to bring a championship to New York?
The New York Liberty.
Ooh, that's not even right there. I mean, come on now. The New York Liberty are coming in hot. Last year they were in the finals and came with a Cordy Venezuela field goal and a Game 5 victory away from winning the WNBA Championship against the Aces. I watched Game 3 and 4 in person. I covered it. I know what I'm talking about. I've seen it. Now they have the best record in the WNBA, 3 games ahead of the Connecticut Sun and the Minnesota Lynx. So you know they're going to come in hot. Thanks to Brianna Stewart, Sabio Nescu, and John Cole Jones. Courtney Venezuela missed a month because, I mean, obviously, May God rest his soul, Cody Vincent's mother. Brother, my condolences to you for that one, but I'm glad you're back. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and there's Benita lady. She had an injury that kept her out for like 4 to 6 weeks. But at least it was during the Olympic break when Sabrina Lescu and Brianna Stewart won gold at the Olympics. So yeah, they came back. They did lose to Connecticut and Los Angeles, but they did not lose a beat. So what's your outlook with the York Liberty right now, based on what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, last year was a great run for them. I feel like it wasn't spoken about enough. I did what I could on WFAN to try and talk about the Liberty. I'm like, bro, they're in the finals. Like, yo, they're hosting the WNBA finals in Brooklyn right now. Y'all don't see this? Like, as much hype as the New York Jets got last year to win the Super Bowl, and as much hype as the Rangers got to win the Stanley Cup, nah. As much hype as people actually thought the Knicks were going to go to the finals last year, they weren't even close. The Liberty actually were a couple wins away from hoisting the trophy. Now, the Aces are the queens of the league. We understand what Asia Wilson is. We understand Kelsey Plum, all of them. Like they dominate, they got it. Their pedigree is unmatched. Like it's there to lose. It's theirs to lose. But I just look at the Liberty as a cohesive unit now, building, and then last year having the experience of being in the finals, they know what it's going to take. If you're asking me the question, who's closest to bringing a championship back to New York? It's the team that was in the finals last year. We don't know how it's going to go. Like you said, they have the best record now. They have another year of building together. They have the primetime players. Who knows how it's going to go this year? I think they have as good of a chance as anybody in New York, better than most of the teams in New York. Definitely better in baseball, football, basketball, hockey. The Liberty have the chance to go back to the finals and actually win it this year.
Yes, they do. And I'm confident they're going to get it done. I mean, assuming they hold on to the best record in the WNBA. I mean, obviously, look at the rest of the schedule. They got the Seattle Storm. They have 2 games with the Dallas Wings. They're literally, the match them to clinch the best record in the WNBA is at 5. So all they have to do is win those games. And then they have a game against the Aces this Sunday, which is the WNBA Finals rematch. And you know fans are going to be tuned into that one. But
Yeah.
Obviously, no surprise that it's the least, but nobody wants to talk about that. We're thinking about the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese debate, right?
Hey, it's good for the sport. It's good for the W because those 2 young ladies, they were popping 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? In college, they had it. They were getting money through the NIL. They were battling in the tournament. They had their one-on-one battles back and forth. No such publicity is bad publicity. It's good for the league. They have brought more eyes and ears and attention to the league, more than Diana Taurasi, more than Asia Wilson, more than some of these girls that have came through before them. They're the ones. And they just faced off a couple nights ago. You got to give it up to Caitlin Clark. She is just different, bro. She is the rookie of the year. Angel Reese, love, respect to her out in Chicago doing her thing. But just watching that game, and even the highlights from that game, it's clear to see who's the better player. Caitlin Clark is the rookie of the year. She's going to be rookie of the year. She's got a ton of fans. She can shoot. She can pass. She's just a more dominant player on the court than Angel Reese is, getting rebounds and putting it back. Not knocking her. She broke a record for the most double-doubles. But, like, if we're talking about who is the outright rookie of the year, man, Caitlin Clark has been on one since the Olympics. She came to Yankee Stadium throughout the first pitch. I just know that they're going to end up giving her the trophy, and that's fine. And there is a lot of people that disagree on Caitlin Clark and who she is and what she is. All publicity is good publicity. There's no such thing as bad publicity. If people want to bring race into it, they want to bring coverage into it, who's, getting favoritism versus the other one, whatever. People are paying more attention to women's basketball, the WNBA, than ever. I was at Yankee Stadium early in the season, and guys are talking about the WNBA. I'm like, I've never been in Yankee Stadium hearing grown men talk about women's basketball like they are now with Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA has grown up a lot from
right.
the Liberty rivalry that started last year to the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese rivalry that started this year. And in the next few years, you're going to add 3 new teams in WNBA. I just know they're going to have the Golden State Valkyries. They're going to have the Toronto team. They're going to have a Portland. Well, I don't know if they're going to be called the Portland Fire, but the fact of the matter is Portland will have a WNBA franchise in 2026. Not to mention the
Yep.
fact that they signed a new deal with media rights to have the games broadcast on NBC and Amazon Prime again, which means every year they're going to rotate from ESPN to Amazon to NBC family networks. So you see what the growth the WNBA is doing when that happens.
They're selling tickets. They're selling merch. The NBA, the WNBA All-Star game was greater than ever. I mean, you got to see Team USA versus the WNBA team, and then Team USA goes and wins gold. So I just like the momentum. It's long overdue. And I think all publicity is good publicity. People are talking about women's basketball in the United States of America.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about women's basketball with you right now. And you know what? Tell your people at WFAN, you got to do a live broadcast of the New York Liberty games because the WNBA is hot. It's just hot right now.
Yeah, I'm down for it, bro. Nobody else was thinking about it. Nobody else was doing it. I'm like, bro, I got to do it then. I'll be the one to step up and talk about the Liberty then. And I don't pretend to know everything about WNBA. I don't watch it like that. But I mean, how can you ignore it now? There's no way to ignore it now. It's getting a lot of press and a lot of conversation. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of conversations right now indeed. Yeah. Well, that'll do with this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. Thank you for stopping by, Keith McPherson. And before I let you go, I mean, what advice do you have for people that are trying to come up with the WFAN radio station or any sports radio station within the world?
I can only speak from my experience. I went to school for radio and television. I graduated in 2011. It took 10 years to speak on WFAN. It took a decade for me to be in front of that mic. I did a bunch of different things. I hustled, I grinded, I connected with a lot of people, I networked. I learned everything from social media to video editing to photography to just marketing stuff in general. I worked on my own podcast. I did a ton of podcasts that failed. I did a ton of live streams, YouTube things that failed. It's okay to fail. It's okay to have not that many downloads. It's okay to have not that many viewers. Work on your craft. Work on yourself. When people aren't watching you, you're still sharpening your sword. You know, you're still getting ready for battle. And when it comes time where everybody's watching you go to battle, you'll be able to swing the Excalibur. You'll be able to do your thing. And they'll wonder, how are you so good? Well, you know what? I was practicing in the dark. I was waiting in the wings. And when I got my opportunity, I seized it. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was doing podcasts. I was doing Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, social media stuff. I started to buzz a little bit. And next thing you know, they gave me my opportunity to do the audition, and people liked what they heard. They gave me the full-time opportunity to be the nighttime host. I've been running ever since. I've been stacking things. I've been on MLB Network. I had my own show on MLB Network for a year where I was a host every day on a nationally televised show. I've been on NBC Sports Final multiple times in a suit and a tie talking sports on NBC. You know what I'm saying? I've been on Yes Network consistently. I've been at things like Fanatics Fest, opening day, all-star games. I just am out there putting out content, doing things. I picked up hockey. I became a Devils fan. I started showing up to the Devils games. You already know I was out there with the Brooklyn Nets, doing talking Nets and doing stuff with the Brooklyn Brigade. So it all just came together. I had Yankees fans, Nets fans, Devils fans following me. I played college football, so I'm always going to be able to talk about the game of football. Even though people hate the team that I rep, the Dallas Cowboys, it is what it is. It all came together for me. And the number one thing that I make sure to do is inspire people. The number one thing I make sure to do is tell my story. And that's a good way to end this podcast, right? If I could do it, you could do it. But you got to grind. You got to go after. You got to keep stacking. And you never know. This industry, this media industry is starting to look for people in social media. Traditional media of television and radio, they're starting to go to social media for the next upcoming talent. It could be you if you just play your cards right, if you keep putting yourself out there, if you keep working and grinding. I appreciate you bringing me on, bro. I see you doing your thing. You're in there with the WNBA. You're sitting in there with the reporters. You're covering the games. You're credentialed media. Keep going. Keep grinding. Keep connecting. Keep stacking. Because before you know it, they'll be calling on you to rock the mic at WFAN or ESPN Radio or who knows, wherever it is out there. Keep building your own because it's good to have your own brand, but don't quit. Don't stop. Don't get down on yourself. Keep putting stuff out there, and you don't know who's going to see it. You don't know how it's going to connect.
Yeah, I know you see you do your thing, and yeah, I even had Tina Savasio on the show earlier this year. Somebody who works with Fox. you know Tia Savasio, right? Fox 5 anchor. She's been on the show. Mm-hmm. And I asked questions. Even LaToya Robinson, a WNBA countdown host, saw some of my questions, like literally.
Good, man. Proud of you. I appreciate you rocking with me. I appreciate you being a fan. I appreciate you bringing me on your podcast years ago, coming to my live show at Fanatics last month, and then bringing me on again, man. I'm rooting for everybody Black. I always make sure to say that it's not lost on me how hard it is for brothers to crack in, right? As hard as it is to get into the media industry, it's even harder for brothers to break through. Just keep going, man. I got your back, and I appreciate you having mine.
Yes, exactly. For Keith McPherson, Rafiq Lewis on. We'll see you next time.